What's good, guys? So I got some banned cards and limited cards in front of you, and why they're in front of you. So we're gonna talk about ban list, some kind of ban list prediction, but these are gonna be cards that are realistic, can come back, and would actually promote the game more. There's a bunch of cards in this list that are just garbage. They could easily just bring back time seal shit like that. That wouldn't do anything. Yeah, it comes off the list, but nobody actually cares. These are cards that come back and people will want to experiment with it. People will want to buy new cards with it. Konami can actually push product supporting it, and these cards would definitely not break the game. There's a bunch of cards that would break the game. As you can see, there's not crazy shit like Engage, Harpour, Colossus. I know those are like fan favorite cards. I love those cards, but those cards are probably too strong still for the moment being. But let's get on with the list. So Jet Synchron got banned because of the Elvish Synchro deck and the fact that Link Cross was still available. So one Jet Synchron just gave you so much advantage. You can make Herald of the Arclight and Dragoons, or just a bunch of different combinations. But now all Jet Synchron does is give your deck a way to discard a card out of your hand and give you Hulky Fibrex. So I think that's fine. I think Jet Synchron is one of those cards that are generic. When it comes back, people are gonna want to try it out in other different decks. It's cool when you have a tool that's so generic. That's why there's a few generic cards on this list. I always like generic cards. They could try bringing this. All the cards that are banned, I think they're gonna try bringing it back to 1 first before it goes to 3. But Jet Synchron straight up can go to 3. They can bring it to 1 first, see what it does. I don't think it would do too much besides give you a tool to actually put into a bunch of different decks, and that's always cool because not everybody wants to see the same cards in every deck. Jet Synchron's the first card, and then the Pendulum cards. It still bugs me out that there's so many Pendulum cards on this list. Pendulums don't even do anything. Electromite was the biggest problem card, and a lot of people do want Electromite back. I think bringing Electromite back is probably a big issue, but then there's a bunch of other cards such as Skullcrad Joker and Servant of Endymion that I don't even understand why they're here. They got some of these cards got here because of cards like Monkey Board. Monkey Board can stay banned, but Joker, what's Joker searching? If you guys know what Joker's searching that's actually above average, not just a very average card, please let me know in the comments, because I don't know what Joker's searching besides engine pieces that are just Pendulum cards. Yeah, it's very generic, but bring it to 1. Like, I'm just so confused why this is banned anymore. Monkey Board was always the problematic card back in that format, so this can definitely come back. And then the Servant of Endymion is the same thing. It's just like, Electromite's banned, just give them some of their tools back. It's the same thing. And Pendulum is such a big archetype that I feel like Konami is slowly forgetting. I'm not the biggest fan of Pendulums, but it sucks when I see my friends that love Pendulum, every single list they just randomly hit cards with no logic or explanation. They've already lost their biggest toolbox in Electromite, and that was fine. I think Electromite's power was actually too crazy. Electromite can stay on the list, but these other cards, for sure they should come back. It gives Pendulum just more different tools to use with, and nobody wants to see every deck looking the same. So that's why I like seeing cards like this that are a bit more on the generic side. Yeah, they're Pendulums, but they're generic Pendulum cards. So I want to see these come back. They would not break the game at all. It would just lead to some cool decks. I definitely want to see Pendulum again, especially with Zeus in so many decks. Zeus just destroys Pendulum. I don't know, Pendulum just has so many things that are going against it, so I definitely want to see some tools come back for this. A deck that everybody hates, but True Draco does not see any play. I think Dynamite can come back. Dynamite just searches trap cards when something's activated. Like, that's whatever. The biggest issue with the Draco deck was always Masterpiece, and even Diagram, I would argue, can come back. Diagram also is one of those generic cards that could help other decks, but maybe 3 Diagram in Dinosaur is too crazy. But Dynamite for sure. I want to see the Dynamite back. I know people like Draco. I know a lot of people hate Draco, but that doesn't matter. It's not going to break the game. All it's doing is searching a trap card. It was a fan favorite deck for a bit. It was a helmet deck. Everybody loved to hate this deck, but I think this can definitely come back. I don't know why it's at 1, but it's just searching trap cards. I think Eldritch does almost the same thing and everything's at 3. So bring this one back for sure. Dynamite is definitely a cool card. I would even play around with some kind of crazy Draco deck if Dynamite was at 3, because Dynamite can actually search interruptions. Then the next card, Gazelle. I could have put Gazelle, Circle, or Mirage Stalio. One of those can come back for sure. The one that I would like to see is Gazelle, but it could be any of those 3, and I think it would be fun. Out of that format with Salmon Great, Striker, Thunder Dragon, Orcust, I would say Salamangreat probably had like the lowest ceiling, but it just was so consistent, and that's why Gazelle got hit. But I don't think Gazelle coming back would actually even compete with some of the stronger decks. It would just be another good option, a good rogue deck. I don't like. It could be Stalio too. I don't care. It's just like something come back because the other decks in that format, Thunder Dragon, Engage, Harp Horror, those cards were actually crazy. But Gazelle really was not. And Gazelle, this deck just took a bunch of hits for no reason as well. Why did Circle at one? Why is Gazelle at one? Why is Stalio at one? So I don't know. They did bring back Debug, but Debug is just so questionable. Loses to so many hand traps. Never like Debug. But yeah, Gazelle can definitely come back. And then some spells, Resort. So I think some people think it can be Master Plan. It can absolutely not be Master Plan. Master Plan is actually insane. I hated Master Plan. Bring Resort back. Just let them do something. I think there's something there that you could definitely build if Resort was at 3. Some kind of deck that you're just trying to turbo out a sleeper or just go blind second, because the spiral cards were inherently so good at going second. Resort just gives you the piece you're missing, because you kind of need 2 different cards to get your engine going. You have to get to the Helix. So Resort can definitely come back. I know Resort's kind of strong for a field spell, but the deck has literally so many cards at 1 right now, so I think Resort can come back. And Master Plan was literally the main piece to the whole combo. So Resort, I don't see any problem with that, and people would definitely want to test these cards out again. And that's my main point with a bunch of these cards. I just want people testing these older decks out. Don't let them slowly phase into like obscurity, right? And then Light Stage got got hit to 1 because of the format where Orcust decks were just abusing it and making a Mermaid. Mermaid's not here. The only thing that you could realistically make with 2 monsters going onto the field is a Verte. Yeah, you're making a Dragoon with Light Stage. There's other cards that already do that. I don't know why Light Stage is still here. And like Light Stage was so integral to the whole deck of Trick Stars. Like people would love to play this deck again. This field spell is on the stronger side, one of the stronger field spells in the game. 3 different decent effects. But even then, I just don't. The reason why it was banned was because of Mermaid. It wasn't because there was something that the Trickstar archetype was doing. It was just putting a Korrabane and a Candina onto field. It was putting 2 monsters onto the field. There's nothing that we can do anymore that is actually absurd with 2 monsters on the field. A generic link. There are generic link 2s that are decent, but for the moment being, there isn't anything like Mermaid, and hopefully Konami never does anything like Mermaid again. But this card is another card that you could splash into other decks. The monsters are light, so other decks like Shaddoll can play it. You can make the Verte. So, and on top of all that, Trickstar, the pure deck with trap cards, hand traps, can be played again, because this is just so bad that when all you have is 3 Candina and Light Stage as your big starters. So yeah, Light Stage can definitely come back. I want to see this at 3. Then a little controversial, but Engage is in here. I think Sky Striker definitely deserves to see some play. Sky Striker has so many hits as well, just like Salamangreat does. But Engage absolutely cannot come back. Engage is too crazy. But multi-roll would give it some kind of a niche in the deck that what it tries to do. It tries to grind a lot. It tries to have these spells keep coming back. And when multi-rolls at 1, it's just, I don't know. Striker, whenever I play it, I feel like the only way you can win is go second, Mystic Mind them. When you go first, like the engine just, this would give it some kind of purpose. It gives the deck a purpose. It gives the deck a win condition. Oh, let me get my multi-roll set 4. Like, let me set my striker spells again. And you just can't do that anymore. I think multi-roll coming back to 2 to 3. They could even first go to 2 and then go to 3. As long as Engage is in the back, as long as everything isn't together, then I think this is fun. One more card. Italy, it goes on the same thing as this is literally, I talked about it. It's literally quick launch, but you're searching a weaker archetype. You're literally searching, like, half the time you're just searching garbage psychic monsters that don't really do anything. They're getting banished on end phase. This would just give decks a way to get to the tuner. It's an extender, and the reason why I like this is generic, just like this Jetstream Crown thing I was talking about. I like cards that are generic, that aren't super strong, but you can just splash it into other decks, because everybody likes seeing different text in their decks. So yeah, emergency teleport, I don't think it would be a problem at all. Maybe start with 2 and then 3. Maybe there's some psychic monster I'm missing, I'm not thinking about. But all this is doing is letting decks that want to play Hockey Fibrex in them get to it easier, have an extender. It's very hard to find decent extenders, and this isn't even like a crazy extender. Quick launch is absolutely way better than this card. Until I see a good psychic monster out, I think this card can come back. So teleport, and then the final card, and this is only 10 cards. I could definitely do more videos talking about more cards that can come back, but I just want to do just show you guys what some of these cards are, because there's so many cards that are just stuck in this ban list for no reason. And these types of cards, if Konami were to bring it back, people would be excited about it. People would be glad to play these cards again, have a chance to play them again. And none of these cards are something that's like crazy. Nothing crazy is going to happen if Scorpio Brad Joker is suddenly back at 1. I'm sorry to tell you this, but nothing crazy. It's just going to make people hyped to play these decks again. But the last card, for Zodiac's been running around, and I think Dryden can honestly come back to 3. Dryden's really not that good. Like Dryden, like Broad Bull is crazy. Broad Bull definitely cannot come back. Generic cards that just are searching anything in the whole game, like any Beast Warrior, is too crazy. But Dryden's just popping a card. The only reason Zoo cards are actually good is because they can do, like, Rapier can lead the Tri Brigade into a combo, or the Zoo cards all equal a Zeus because you couldn't go second Borbo direct attack. But Dryden itself is so mediocre. It's no plus. There's nothing that you're generating that's an advantage. It's just a pop one. If your deck can't, if you actually think Dryden's scary, I don't know what to tell you. Like, we're way past this time, so I think Dryden can easily come to 2 to 3. It would be cool. It would be cool for the pure Zoo deck. It would be cool for other decks. I don't even think the Tri Brigade deck would play multiple Dryden still. Like, it's fine. So Dryden can easily just come back. It would just help Pure Zoo, and it's just like a mediocre card. Barrage definitely can't. I think Barrage is too strong. I think Broad Bull is too strong. But this is one of those cards that definitely couldn't come back, and it would excite. All these cards are just gonna create a buzz for the around the ban list, around the game. These cards are not crazy, and that's what I wanted to get across. These are cards that I think have the chance to escape the ban list. Guys, stay tuned for more. Let me know what else you guys think can escape, because there's a ton of cards out there, and subscribe.